Have you ever faced a moment where your loyalty was tested and you had to choose between staying in your comfort zone or stepping into the unknown for a greater purpose? The story of Abner, the powerful general of Israel, offers a deeply human perspective on these challenges. His life, marked by loyalty, ambition, betrayal, and redemption, teaches us that even in our imperfections, God's plan is always at work. Abner's journey, from a loyal defender of King Saul to a key figure in uniting Israel under David, is more than a historical account. It's a source of timeless wisdom. Through his struggles and decisions, we learn about the courage it takes to adapt, the humility needed to reconcile with others, and the trust required to follow God's will. His story is a reminder that no matter how tangled our paths may seem, God's purposes are always unfolding. In this exploration, we will delve into the life of Abner, uncovering the powerful lessons of faith, leadership, and forgiveness embedded in his story. Whether you are seeking guidance in your own life or inspiration to overcome challenges, Abner's journey will resonate deeply and remind you of the hope and strength found in trusting God's plan. Abner's story begins long before his famous role as a military leader in Israel. Born into the tribe of Benjamin, the same tribe as King Saul, Abner was likely exposed to the traditions and values of his people from a young age. Imagine a boy running through the hills of Benjamin, learning the lessons of courage and discipline that would later define his leadership. His early years were marked by the strong influence of his family and community, who instilled in him the principles of loyalty and service. As a young man, Abner showed an innate ability to lead. He was not just physically strong, but also a keen observer of human behavior. He understood the importance of unity and trust within a community. This gift for leadership was not something that developed overnight. It was forged through years of experience and observation. Abner's ability to read people and situations would later make him a trusted advisor and military commander. Though the Bible does not provide many details about Abner's early life, we can infer much from the cultural context of the time. In ancient Israel, young men were trained in the art of war, as defending their tribes was a critical part of life. Abner likely honed his skills with weapons and strategy during these formative years, preparing him for the role he would later play as King Saul's commander-in-chief. Abner's relationship with King Saul is another crucial aspect of his early life. The two were likely close from the beginning, as Abner was Saul's cousin. This familial bond may have contributed to the deep trust Saul placed in him. Abner's early loyalty to Saul set the stage for his future as a powerful figure in the kingdom. Yet, as we will see, this loyalty would be tested in ways that Abner himself could not have foreseen. As a man of the tribe of Benjamin, Abner was part of a group known for its fierce warriors. This heritage of strength and bravery was woven into his identity. His people were known for their ability to fight against overwhelming odds, a quality that Abner carried with him into every battle. It was more than just skill. It was a mindset of resilience and determination. Abner's early life also gives us insight into the man he would become. While he was undoubtedly strong and capable, he also displayed a sense of pragmatism. He understood the complexities of leadership and the delicate balance of power. This understanding, however, would later lead him to make decisions that some might view as controversial or even self-serving. As we transition into Abner's role as the trusted commander of King Saul, let us reflect on how his upbringing shaped his character. How did his early experiences prepare him for the monumental challenges ahead? These questions remind us that every leader, even one as complex as Abner, is shaped by the foundation laid in their early years. Abner's rise to prominence as King Saul's commander-in-chief was not by chance. It was a role that required not only military expertise, but also unwavering loyalty and the ability to navigate the complexities of a kingdom in turmoil. As Saul's cousin, Abner had a personal connection to the king, and this bond likely played a role in his early appointment. Yet, It was Abner's actions on the battlefield and his strategic mind that earned him the trust and respect of Saul. As commander of Israel's army, Abner bore the weight of defending the kingdom against relentless enemies. Chief among these were the Philistines, a formidable foe whose iron weaponry and military prowess often outmatched Israel's. Abner was tasked with turning an unorganized group of tribes into a cohesive fighting force. This was no small feat, and it required both courage and ingenuity. Under Abner's leadership, the Israelites began to hold their ground and push back against their oppressors. Abner's relationship with Saul was not merely professional, it was deeply personal. Saul relied on Abner not just for military victories, but also for counsel and support. When Saul faced moments of doubt or despair, as he often did, Abner was one of the few who stood by his side. This loyalty, however, came with its own challenges. Saul's growing paranoia and erratic behavior placed immense strain on those closest to him, including Abner. One of Abner's defining moments as a commander was his involvement in battles against the Philistines. The Bible recounts how Saul and his army, under Abner's guidance, faced the Philistine threat time and again. Abner's strategies were instrumental in securing critical victories, and his leadership inspired confidence among the troops. Yet, the challenges were relentless, and the cost of war weighed heavily on everyone involved. Abner's role extended beyond the battlefield. As a key figure in Saul's court, he was involved in political and diplomatic matters. He understood the delicate balance of power between the tribes of Israel and worked to maintain unity within the kingdom. This aspect of his role highlighted Abner's multifaceted leadership abilities and his deep understanding of the complexities of governance. Despite his loyalty to Saul, Abner was not blind to the king's flaws. He witnessed firsthand Saul's struggles with jealousy, particularly regarding David. Abner's position often placed him in the middle of this conflict, forcing him to navigate the tension between his loyalty to Saul and his recognition of David's potential. This internal conflict would later become a pivotal aspect of Abner's story. As we consider Abner's role as Saul's trusted commander, we see a man of great strength and dedication, but also one who was deeply human. He faced challenges that tested his faith, loyalty, and character. Abner's story at this point reminds us that even the most capable leaders must navigate the complexities of human relationships and the burden of responsibility. The Philistines were a constant and formidable enemy of Israel, and Abner was at the forefront of this battle for survival. As King Saul's commander, Abner orchestrated many of Israel's military campaigns, displaying both courage and tactical brilliance. He was not just a warrior, he was a strategist who understood the terrain, the enemy's weaknesses, and the importance of morale among his troops. In many ways, Abner's leadership was the backbone of Israel's resistance during this turbulent time. One of the most iconic moments in the battle against the Philistines occurred during the standoff in the Valley of Elah, where David defeated Goliath. While Abner did not take center stage in this particular story, his role as the commander organizing Israel's forces was crucial. It was Abner who brought David before Saul after the young shepherd defeated the Philistine giant, a moment that marked the beginning of a new chapter in Israel's history. Abner's ability to recognize David's potential showed his keen eye for talent and leadership. The Philistine threat was relentless, and Abner had to keep the army prepared for constant warfare. These battles were not just about military might, but also about faith and dependence on God. Abner, like others in Israel, had to draw strength from his belief in God's promise to protect his people. His leadership was not only a display of human effort, but also an act of faith, trusting that God would deliver Israel from their enemies. Abner's strategies often involved rallying the tribes of Israel, who were scattered and sometimes divided in their loyalties. He knew that unity was essential for victory. His ability to bring the tribes together under Saul's leadership was a testament to his persuasive skills and his dedication to the cause. However, this unity was fragile, and the divisions among the tribes would later play a significant role in Israel's internal struggles. The battles against the Philistines were not without their costs. Many lives were lost, and the toll on the nation was immense. Abner carried the burden of these losses as a leader who understood the price of war. Yet he remained steadfast, pushing forward even in the face of overwhelming odds. His determination inspired the men under his command and gave them hope in the darkest of times. Abner's leadership in these battles also revealed his humanity. He was not immune to fear or doubt, but he did not let these emotions paralyze him. Instead, he channeled them into action, leading his men with courage and conviction. His resilience reminds us that even the strongest leaders face challenges, but true strength lies in persevering despite them. If this story of Abner's role in the battles against the Philistines has resonated with you, consider how faith and perseverance have played a role in your life's challenges. Share your thoughts or experiences in the comments below, or simply type the word courage to let us know you are with us on this spiritual journey. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel to explore more stories of faith and leadership from the Bible. The relationship between Abner and David was as complex as it was pivotal to the history of Israel. Both were extraordinary leaders in their own right, but their paths crossed in ways that highlighted the challenges of loyalty, ambition, and divine destiny. For Abner, this relationship was more than just political. It was deeply personal, tied to his loyalty to King Saul and his role in the kingdom. Abner's loyalty to Saul was unwavering, and he saw David initially as a threat to Saul's reign. David's growing popularity after his victory over Goliath and his successes as a military leader caused tension within Saul's court. Abner, as Saul's commander, found himself caught in the middle of this escalating conflict. He was loyal to Saul, but he could not ignore David's undeniable rise as a leader chosen by God. One of the most striking moments that defined their rift occurred when Saul became consumed by jealousy and sought to kill David. Abner, bound by his duty to Saul, pursued David relentlessly, even though it was clear that God's favor rested on David. This pursuit was not just a test of Abner's loyalty, but also a moment of deep internal conflict. Did Abner see David as a rival, or did he recognize the hand of God at work in David's life? Despite the tension, Abner and David had opportunities for interaction that revealed mutual respect. For instance, during an encounter in the wilderness, David had the chance to kill Saul, but chose instead to spare his life. David later called out to Abner, questioning his failure to protect the king. This moment was not just a reprimand, but also a demonstration of David's respect for Abner's position and his acknowledgement of their shared responsibility to Israel. As Saul's reign began to crumble, so did the bonds that held Abner and David on opposite sides. Saul's increasing instability and eventual death in battle left a vacuum of power. Abner, ever the strategist, sought to maintain control by backing Ishbosheth, Saul's son, as king. This decision further deepened the divide between him and David, who had already been anointed by God as the future king of Israel. Abner's actions during this period raise important questions. Was he driven by loyalty to Saul's house, or was there an element of personal ambition? It's possible that Abner saw himself as a stabilizing force in a time of chaos, someone who could preserve the kingdom's unity. Yet his eventual shift in allegiance to David suggests that his motivations were as complex as the man himself. The rift between Abner and David was not just a story of rivalry, but also a reflection of the struggles we all face when loyalty, ambition, and faith intersect. Abner's journey reminds us that even the most steadfast individuals are shaped by the choices they make under pressure. As we explore Abner's eventual decision to align with David, let us consider how God's plan unfolds, even through human conflict and imperfection. Topic 5. Abner and Ishbosheth, the struggle for power. After Saul's death, Israel entered a period of uncertainty and division. Abner, ever the strategist, took it upon himself to stabilize the kingdom by installing Ishbosheth, Saul's son, as king over Israel. This decision was not without controversy, as David had already been anointed by God and widely recognized as the rightful king. Yet Abner's move highlights his commitment to preserving Saul's legacy and his belief in maintaining order during a time of chaos. Abner's support for Ishbosheth was not simply an act of loyalty, it was also a calculated effort to maintain influence. As the general of Saul's army, Abner held significant power, and by aligning himself with Ishbosheth, he ensured his role as a key figure in the new regime. This decision, however, set the stage for a prolonged and bitter struggle between the house of Saul and the house of David. The tension between Abner and Ishbosheth began to surface as the new king struggled to assert his authority. Ishbosheth lacked the charisma and strength of his father, and his dependence on Abner became increasingly apparent. This dynamic created friction as Abner's growing influence threatened Ishbosheth's fragile confidence. Their relationship became strained when Ishbosheth accused Abner of impropriety, a moment that would prove to be a turning point in Abner's life. This accusation deeply offended Abner, who had remained steadfast in his loyalty to Saul's house. In response, Abner made a bold decision. He would shift his allegiance to David. This was not just a political move, but a moment of personal reckoning. Abner recognized that David was God's chosen king, and he sought to bring the tribes of Israel together under David's leadership. His decision to abandon Ishbosheth was both pragmatic and spiritual, as he acknowledged the divine plan unfolding before him. Abner's attempt to reconcile with David was marked by his efforts to bring the northern tribes of Israel under David's rule. He approached David with humility and a desire for unity, emphasizing the importance of a strong and united kingdom. This act of reconciliation was a testament to Abner's ability to adapt and his willingness to prioritize the greater good over personal ambition. Despite his intentions, Abner's actions were met with suspicion by some in David's camp, particularly Joab, David's loyal general. This mistrust highlights the challenges of bridging divides and the complexities of human relationships. Abner's journey from Ishbosheth's supporter to David's ally underscores the difficulties of navigating power, loyalty, and faith in a turbulent time. The struggle for power between Abner and Ishbosheth serves as a reminder of the importance of discernment and humility. Abner's story encourages us to consider how our choices reflect our values and priorities. As we transition to the next chapter of Abner's life, let us reflect on the lessons we can learn from his journey and the ways in which God's plan unfolds, even through conflict and imperfection. Abner's decision to shift his allegiance to David was not only a pivotal moment in his life, but also a turning point in the history of Israel. This change of heart was driven by both practical and spiritual realizations. Abner had long been a staunch supporter of Saul's house, but as he observed Ishbosheth's inability to lead effectively and recognized David's anointing by God, he understood that the time had come to align himself with the rightful king. The tension between Abner and Ishbosheth reached its breaking point when Ishbosheth accused Abner of betraying him through an alleged act of impropriety. This accusation struck at Abner's integrity and honor, deeply wounding the seasoned general. In this moment of conflict, Abner declared his intention to support David, stating boldly that he would use his influence to unite all of Israel under David's rule. His words were not empty. They were a declaration of purpose and a step toward fulfilling God's plan for Israel. When Abner approached David with an offer of allegiance, it was a gesture of humility and reconciliation. He recognized David's divine anointing and sought to bridge the divide between the northern tribes and Judah. Abner's proposal to deliver the northern tribes into David's hands was not only a strategic move, but also an acknowledgement of God's sovereignty over the kingdom of Israel. David, in turn, welcomed Abner's overture with wisdom and grace. Rather than harboring resentment for Abner's years of opposition, David saw the opportunity for unity and peace. Their meeting was a testament to David's ability to extend forgiveness and his understanding of the greater good. Abner's willingness to humble himself and work toward reconciliation demonstrates his capacity for growth and his recognition of the need for a unified Israel. However, not everyone in David's camp shared his enthusiasm for Abner's alliance. Joab, David's fiercely loyal general, viewed Abner's actions with suspicion and distrust. To Joab, Abner's shift in allegiance seemed like a potential threat rather than an opportunity. This distrust highlights the challenges of reconciliation and the complexities of human relationships, even when the intentions are noble. Abner's alignment with David was a bold and transformative decision. It reflected his ability to adapt and prioritize the well-being of the kingdom over personal loyalties or ambitions. His actions remind us that true leadership often involves recognizing when to change course and having the courage to act upon that realization. As we explore the events leading up to Abner's untimely death, let us reflect on the courage it takes to make difficult but necessary decisions. Abner's story encourages us to trust in God's plan, even when it requires stepping into unfamiliar and challenging territory. Abner's story takes a heartbreaking turn with his untimely death, a moment steeped in betrayal and tragedy. Having shifted his allegiance to David and begun efforts to unite Israel, Abner was on the path to becoming a key figure in the establishment of David's kingdom. Yet his life was cut short in a moment that underscores the complexities of loyalty, revenge, and the human capacity for mistrust. After his reconciliation with David, Abner set out to rally the northern tribes to accept David as their king. His efforts represented a significant step toward the unity of Israel, a goal he pursued with determination and a sense of purpose. Abner's commitment to this mission demonstrates his transformation from a rival commander to a bridge builder, someone who placed the well-being of the nation above his own past allegiances. However, this period of hope was overshadowed by Joab's lingering suspicion and bitterness. Joab had not forgotten that Abner had killed his brother Asahel during a previous battle. Despite the circumstances of war, Joab could not see beyond his personal vendetta. For Joab, Abner's presence in David's court was not a sign of unity, but a reminder of a painful loss. In a calculated move, Joab lured Abner back to Hebron under false pretenses. Pretending to discuss matters of state, Joab took Abner aside and, without warning, struck him down. This act of betrayal was as shocking as it was devastating. Abner's death was not just the loss of a man, but a blow to the hope of a united Israel. His assassination highlighted the dangers of unchecked revenge and the fragility of trust. David's reaction to Abner's death was one of profound grief and outrage. The king openly mourned Abner, declaring him a noble and honorable man. David's lament for Abner serves as a testament to the respect he held for his former rival and ally. It also revealed David's deep frustration with Joab's actions, which threatened to undermine the unity and peace David sought to achieve. Abner's death reminds us of the human cost of mistrust and vengeance. His story is a sobering reflection on how personal grievances can disrupt even the most righteous endeavors. Yet it is also a reminder of the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation, values that David upheld even in the face of this devastating loss. As we reflect on the legacy of Abner's life and death, we see the complexities of human relationships and the consequences of unchecked emotions. His story challenges us to consider how we respond to betrayal and whether we choose paths of healing or division. As we move to examine Abner's broader impact on Israel's history, let us carry these lessons forward. Abner's life is a tapestry woven with themes of power, ambition, loyalty, and ultimately redemption. His story offers profound lessons that resonate with us today. reminding us of the complexities of leadership, the dangers of unchecked ambition, and the hope that comes from seeking unity and purpose. Through his journey, we can reflect on our own struggles with pride, relationships, and faith. One of the first lessons from Abner's life is the importance of loyalty, but also the dangers of misplaced allegiance. For years, Abner stood by Saul and his house, even as it became clear that Saul's leadership was faltering. His loyalty, though admirable, kept him tethered to a cause that was no longer aligned with God's plan. This reminds us of the need to evaluate our commitments and ensure that our loyalties are rooted in truth and purpose, not mere tradition or comfort. Abner's ambition, while a driving force in his rise to power, also highlights the thin line between confidence and self-serving behavior. His decision to support Ishbosheth after Saul's death was partially an attempt to maintain control in a time of chaos. Yet when challenged by Ishbosheth, Abner's shift to David's side demonstrated his ability to recognize God's will and humble himself. This pivot teaches us that ambition is not inherently wrong, but must be guided by wisdom and a willingness to adapt when the truth becomes clear. Another vital lesson is Abner's role in bridging divides. His efforts to unite Israel under David were driven by a vision of a stronger and more harmonious kingdom. Abner's actions remind us of the power of reconciliation and the courage it takes to set aside past conflicts for the sake of a greater good. Whether in personal relationships or larger communities, the pursuit of unity often requires humility and sacrifice. Abner's death serves as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of vengeance and mistrust. Joab's inability to forgive overshadowed Abner's efforts toward peace and left a stain on what could have been a transformative moment for Israel. This tragedy prompts us to examine our own hearts and consider whether unresolved anger or bitterness might be hindering our ability to move forward in faith and love. Despite the flaws and missteps in Abner's life, his legacy includes moments of redemption. His recognition of David as God's chosen king and his willingness to work toward a unified Israel are acts that reflect growth and wisdom. Abner's story reminds us that it is never too late to align ourselves with God's purposes, even if it means admitting past mistakes and starting anew. Finally, Abner's life underscores the importance of trusting in God's plan, even when it unfolds in unexpected ways. His journey from Saul's loyal general to David's ally shows how God can use even the most complicated circumstances and imperfect individuals to fulfill his purposes. This encourages us to trust that our own lives, with all their twists and turns, are part of a greater story being written by God. As we move to explore how Abner's actions shaped the history of Israel, let us carry forward these lessons of loyalty, ambition, redemption, and trust in God's plan. They remind us that, like Abner, we are all works in progress, capable of growth and transformation. Abner's contributions to the kingdom of Israel extended far beyond his lifetime. As a central figure during a tumultuous period in Israel's history, his decisions and actions laid the groundwork for the eventual unification of the tribes under David's rule. Though Abner's journey was fraught with conflict and controversy, his role in shaping the kingdom is undeniable. One of Abner's most significant contributions was his ability to maintain stability in the immediate aftermath of Saul's death. By installing Ishbosheth as king, Abner provided a sense of continuity and order during a time of uncertainty. While this decision delayed David's ascension to the throne, it also prevented a complete collapse of Saul's house and allowed for a smoother transition later on. Abner's efforts to hold the kingdom together, even temporarily, demonstrated his understanding of the importance of leadership during a crisis. Abner's eventual recognition of David as God's chosen king was a turning point in Israel's history. By pledging his allegiance to David and working to unite the northern tribes, Abner facilitated the establishment of a centralized monarchy. This decision was not merely political, it was a spiritual acknowledgement of God's will for Israel. Abner's shift in loyalty reflected his willingness to set aside personal ambitions and align himself with a greater purpose. The unification of the tribes under David was a monumental achievement, and Abner played a crucial role in making it possible. His efforts to rally the northern tribes and convince them to accept David's leadership required both diplomacy and vision. Abner's actions demonstrated his belief in the necessity of a strong and united Israel, a conviction that would shape the nation's future. Abner's death, though tragic, also served as a catalyst for change. It exposed the dangers of internal divisions and highlighted the need for reconciliation and forgiveness. David's public mourning for Abner and his condemnation of Joab's actions sent a powerful message about the kind of leadership David intended to embody, one rooted in justice, mercy, and a commitment to unity. The legacy of Abner's actions can be seen in the strength and stability of David's kingdom. By helping to bring the tribes together, Abner contributed to the foundation of a unified Israel that would flourish under David's reign. His story reminds us that even flawed individuals can play pivotal roles in God's plans, and that redemption is always possible for those who seek it. Abner's impact on Israel's history is a testament to the complexity of leadership and the power of reconciliation. His life teaches us that while human ambition and conflict are inevitable, they can be overcome through humility, wisdom, and a willingness to trust in God's purposes. As we reflect on Abner's contributions, we are reminded of the ways in which our own actions, however small they may seem, can shape the future in profound ways. Abner's legacy is a rich tapestry of lessons that extend far beyond his time, offering wisdom and inspiration for us today. His story is one of courage, complexity, and redemption, qualities that resonate deeply with anyone navigating the challenges of faith, leadership, and relationships. As we reflect on Abner's life, we find timeless principles that can guide us in our own spiritual journeys. One of the most striking aspects of Abner's legacy is his willingness to adapt and grow. Though he began as a staunch defender of Saul's house, Abner ultimately recognized David as God's chosen king and took steps to unify Israel under his leadership. This ability to change course in light of God's will is a powerful reminder of the importance of humility and openness to divine direction. It challenges us to evaluate our own lives and consider whether we are aligning ourselves with God's purposes. Abner's role as a unifier also holds profound relevance today. In a world often marked by division and conflict, his efforts to bring the tribes of Israel together under one king stand as a testament to the power of reconciliation. Abner reminds us that true leadership involves not only strength, but also the ability to build bridges and heal wounds. His story encourages us to seek unity in our families, communities, and beyond. The complexities of Abner's character, his ambition, loyalty, and moments of misjudgment make him relatable and human. He was not without flaws, but his journey shows us that redemption is always possible. Abner's life teaches us that our mistakes do not have to define us. Instead, it is our willingness to learn and grow that shapes our legacy. This message is especially comforting for those who may feel burdened by past failures. Abner's tragic death serves as a sobering reminder of the consequences of unresolved conflict and unchecked emotions. His story encourages us to address grievances with grace and to prioritize forgiveness over vengeance. In doing so, we honor not only Abner's memory, but also the values of justice and mercy that are central to our faith. Perhaps the most enduring lesson from Abner's life is the importance of trusting in God's plan. Despite the challenges and setbacks he faced, Abner's actions ultimately contributed to the fulfillment of God's purposes for Israel. His story reminds us that even when we cannot see the bigger picture, our lives are part of a divine narrative that is unfolding in ways beyond our understanding. As we reflect on Abner's legacy, Let us consider how his story might inspire us to live with courage, humility, and faith. Whether we are leading others, reconciling relationships, or seeking purpose in our lives, Abner's journey offers invaluable insights into the transformative power of God's guidance. Let us now conclude by summarizing the key themes of Abner's life and offering a prayer for wisdom, unity, and trust in God's plan. Abner's life is a compelling reminder that even amidst conflict, ambition, and human frailty, God's hand is at work. His journey from a loyal servant of Saul to a unifier under David highlights the transformative power of humility, courage, and faith. Through Abner's story, we see the value of aligning our lives with God's will and trusting in his plan, even when it leads us into uncharted territory. As we reflect on Abner's legacy, we are reminded of the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation. His death, while tragic, serves as a cautionary tale about the destructive power of unresolved conflict. It challenges us to be agents of peace and unity in our own lives, echoing the principles of justice and mercy that lie at the heart of our faith. Let us close with a prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the lessons we can draw from Abner's life. Help us to navigate the complexities of leadership, relationships, and faith with wisdom and humility. Teach us to trust in your plan, even when the path is unclear, and to seek unity and forgiveness in all we do. May we be inspired by Abner's journey to live lives that honor you and reflect your love to others. In Jesus' name, amen. If this message has touched your heart, share it with friends and family who may also find encouragement in Abner's story. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring biblical stories and lessons that help us grow in faith and wisdom.